he told Lilu and me that he wanted us to get together for lunch once a month. He basically pretty much instructed us that the two of you, I want the two of you to meet once a month for lunch.
Hi, this is Weronika. Today we will take a look at Mohnish Pabrai, who is the founder of Pabrai Investment Funds and who is not only one of the investing gurus of his generation, but also a trailblazing philanthropist whose foundation, Dakshana, has lifted thousands of families out of poverty. Here are the top 5 principles of his success, including a timeless investing advice Charlie Munger shared with him. Be ethical. Trust is more important than contracts. Even though nowadays many cultures are more individualistic and people are keen on more transactional relationships, in reality all human interactions are based on trust and not the actual contracts. He points out that gaining someone's trust is a long process that requires patience, dedication, and being genuine. Once you gain trust, it becomes your competitive advantage because your reputation sticks with you for years. And being ethical and trustworthy to people who come your way is the fundamental virtue that you should develop.
Probably a huge portion of why I'm so ethical is because of self-interest, enlightened self-interest. So I think what people don't realize is most things in life function on trust. They don't function based on contracts. They function based on trust. And so if you become very trustworthy, it gives you a massive competitive advantage, a huge leg up in life. And the thing is that this trustworthiness doesn't come overnight, but it's kind of like on a log scale. So once you, it's like kind of like truthfulness, right? I mean, you sometimes you tell small lies, but if you eliminate all lies, the power versus force we've talked about, what happens is that, those attractor fields come into play, and humans feel they can trust you. And once humans feel they can trust you, the whole universe is at your disposal.
Less is more. Choose quality over quantity of people who are present in your life. Of course, people are different and some enjoy making new friends constantly. However, Mohnish shares that he values good quality relationships which are not surfaced and artificial but rather true friendships. This is why he's quite picky when it comes to making new friends, and he believes that in order to have a rich life, you should seek to make friends with people who you truly want to keep in your life and meet again, because those people make you happy and bring a true value to your existence.
Less is more, right? So, and I find with myself that I don't need a very large network of best friends or close friends. I find that if I spend time with myself, reading and thinking and doing my thing, I'm very happy. I don't need a whole lot. And so when I'm interacting with someone, I just want to make it so that those interactions, when I look back at them, that I enjoyed them and those were good and whatever. And the thing is that, so, the thing is I moved to Austin recently, right? I don't know very many people here. What I decided to do is I decided to lower the bar on meeting people. I said, look, I don't know anyone here. When people reach out to me here and there, whatever, I'll meet them, and I'm going to go through a process to see if I can find, it's kind of weird that one of my best friends is in Zurich, thousands of miles away, It'd be kind of nice to have a best friend next door, for example, a little bit easier. And so I said, I'm going to meet these people and I'm going to see, like you say, I do my grading after I meet them. And so far, no one has made the grade, so that's okay. They're not bad people, but I just asked myself a very simple question. I said, this person I met, do I want to meet them again? Do I want to interact with them some more? And what do I want to do here? And the answer just comes back naturally is that in some cases it comes back that, yes, I definitely want to increase.
When you aspire to be like someone else, stay true to yourself. Mohnish Pabrai states that he used to compare himself to the iconic investors like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger until he met them personally. Regardless of how much you aspire to be like someone who you look up to, and regardless of how many similarities you notice, you're still going to be yourself, and therefore you're going to be unique. Today, what happens is that we start comparing ourselves to others at a very young age. Teens look up to their idols, and grown-ups look up to their icons, so very often when we get fascinated by a public figure, we concentrate on repeating if not cloning the way they behave. The key to embracing yourself and start taking advantage of your own character traits is to acknowledge that you are always going to be a different person from the one that you look up to, and it is perfectly fine.
So like, for example, what I found when I heard about Buffett in 94 is I had been playing bridge for 6 or 7 years before I heard about it. I love bridge. Even now I play many hours of bridge. And I said, look, there's a similarity with bridge. There's a similarity with analyzing businesses. There's a similarity with investing. I seem to like all of that. Everything seems to fit. And they said, it's not there. And they said, what really needs to happen is that you need to understand who you are and to be true to yourself. And part of that owner's manual helped me look inside to see who I was. And I've reread that many times. And what I've realized over the years is that, yes, they were absolutely right. It took me a long time to see this, that Warren Buffett is a very different person than me. There may be some areas of similarity, but there are vast areas of differences. And those vast areas of differences are not easy for me to bridge. If I were to try to do that. First of all, it would be a distortion to try to do that because I wouldn't be true to myself. So it wouldn't even work.
Charlie Munger's advice. In investing business, you need somebody you can talk to. Mohnish Pabrai mentions a powerful piece of advice he once heard from Charlie Munger, that it's good to have somebody to talk to when you're into investing business. Somebody who is not your subordinate, but your peer, so you can speak freely and learn from each other. Mohnish found this to be true since he brings up the story of how he did not listen to his friend's insights and suggestions about investing in a Korean company that quickly became extra successful. He recollects that since this situation took place, he'd always stay open-minded and curious about anything his friend would come up with in regard to investing, so they would brainstorm together about the promising opportunities.
But one of the things Charlie told me many years ago, he said in the investing business, it's really important to have somebody to talk to. You're not in an echo chamber and so on. So I said, oh, you mean like you have Warren? He said it wasn't always Warren, but I had somebody. And he said, it's really important that you have somebody to talk to. And the person shouldn't be someone who reports to you. It should be kind of like a peer type relationship. And he told Lilu and me that he wanted us to get together for lunch once a month. He basically pretty much instructed us that the two of you, I want the two of you to meet once a month for lunch. And I told Charlie and Lilu, if Lilu wants to waste, an afternoon or, hour a month with me, I'm more than happy to do that. Life is great. What's not to like about that? And so before Lilu moved to Seattle, and of course I'm in Austin now, we used to get together once a month, and we finally settled on going to the same place every time, which works really well for me. And we'd go to there's a Din Tai Fung in Arcadia, which is the number one restaurant in Taiwan and really good food. And so we'd go to Din Tai Fung, which used to be a little bit of a zoo, but the food is great. And then later, Lilu got this old Chinese lady as a chef. And he told me that she's actually better than Din Tai Fung, so we can meet at my place. And so then I'd go to, he have an apartment in Pasadena, and I'd meet him over there, and that was even better. So anyway, the food was great, but the conversation was really good too. And I remember one time, Lilu told me during one of these lunches, he said, you should look at and maybe you should buy Amore Pacific. Okay. And I said, Amore what? He said, Amore Pacific. Okay. He said, it's a Korean company. Okay. And I said, okay. And, I went back and I looked at this and everything's in Korean. Excuse my French. Everything's in Korean. Okay. And I figure out it's a cosmetics company. And then I also figure out that there's some of their products you can actually find in Southern California. But I could never really figure the business out. Okay. And I really couldn't really get my arms around it in terms of like, what was the secret sauce here or whatever. So I eventually just, left it alone. And that went up like something like 80x after he told me that. Okay. I just watched it like go crazy. Okay. And they had this product which, they extract from snails, which women would apply on their faces, and it would make them younger, make them look younger. The wrinkles kind of go away or whatever. And what Amore Pacific had been able to do, what they had been able to convince Chinese women that, and I think now Korea is very well known for being kind of the state of the art for Asian women's skin products and so on. And they had a massive tailwind from Chinese women clamoring for their products, and they've done really well. And so I said, well, such is life.
Lead by example. Educate your children about personal finances. What is fascinating is Mohnish Pabrai's perspective on educating his own children about how to approach money. He believes that constraining children and putting a leash on their financial choices, like providing them an allowance, does not teach them reasonable judgment of how to use their money or the money they receive from their parents. Here's his take on how he educated his daughters about personal finances and choosing their professional path, so both parents and children put their mind at ease.
When we raise kids, it's just like what happened with me and Charlie. It's not what we say to them. It's what they observe. So the thing is, we think we can tell them this list of things. And as a father, that doesn't work, okay? Whatever, whatever you're telling them. But I think they really pay attention. It would surprise you how many things, and Monsoon brings up things with me, Mamachi brings things up with me in their childhood, observations they made, which I just, don't even think about. And so how we act, not just with them, but with anyone that they can see, and they see everything, okay, is really important. So I think one of the things that happened with me, which was really surprising in my childhood, is my father was a very stern kind of disciplinary type guy till I was 15 or 16. After I turned 15 or 16, something happened where he suddenly turned around and started treating us like adults. And like, for example, he said to me, look, you know where my wallet is. Anytime you need any amount of money, you just go to my wallet and take it. You don't need to tell me how much you took, and you do not need to tell me how you spent it. And I have the utmost confidence that you will spend it very well. So, I used to go on dates and different things, and I didn't have to go. I never had an allowance, because I had like an infinite allowance, basically. I just go pick money from my dad, and then I'd, go, take a cab in Dubai and meet my girlfriend, whatever else. And it was fun. So what I did with my kids is I went a step further. Okay. When they turned 14, actually my kids have never had an allowance. So they've always had money, and I never put them on that you have to do this chore to get this money. All that parenting stuff is alien to me. I never did any of that. What I did at 14 is I gave them Amex Platinum cards. Okay. And I said, this has no spending limit, and you can spend on anything you want. And you don't need to tell me or justify to me or anything. Okay. and you go with your friends, you do whatever, you got this, okay? You know, all their friends would always complain, oh, I don't have allowance, my allowance is over, this, that. And they really couldn't understand this whole concept that why are the parents putting you on this kind of leash type thing? We have no leash. And I never saw them spend in weird ways. I never saw, I mean, in the case of my dad, he had no visibility into what I was spending with. In the case of them, I can see the statement, right? I never saw anything on the statement that I ever had to question them about. And then I think at 15 or 16, I explained to them that there wasn't going to be an inheritance, right? And actually, even before that, when they were like 10 or 11 years old, I told them, listen, your mother and I are putting, like, the US government allows $15,000 a year tax-free to go to anyone you want. We were putting $30,000 into the account. It used to be $20,000, became $30,000. And I said, look, when you turn 18, there will be a large amount of money in this account. It will be more than enough to cover college. So if we are not doing well financially, your college is taken care of. But I told them it's for another purpose. I said, the real reason I'm putting the money in is that I'm hoping we don't touch it for college, that we are able to pay for college. And I want you to choose professions and careers based on what you love to do, not based on what pays the most money or what your friends think is the most, sexy thing to do or whatever. Pursue things that you are passionate about, whether or not they pay anything.
That's it for today. Let us know in the comments below what advice in your opinion is the most important to apply. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our next videos.
Silicon Valley billionaire who graduated from Stanford University. He did some derivatives trading at Credit Suisse before starting his own capital management company. Then he co-founded a little company called PayPal, which was then sold to eBay, which made him a billionaire. What's interesting is that Peter became Facebook's first outside investor when he acquired a 10% stake in the company. He shares what is the foundation of every entrepreneur's success, as well as every student, employee, or anyone who is determined to achieve their goals.